Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those new here, my name's Nicki, I'm an author and editor, and I post videos here on YouTube about writing, editing, reading and all the other things I love. Today we're here for a crash course in the classics and we're discussing Alexandre Dumas. Now he had an incredibly exciting life, as you'll soon find out, almost worthy of a book in its own right, written in his own style. But let's kick off and learn a bit more about him. So he's born Dumas David de la Pailleterie in Picardy in 1802. His father was a mulatto. His grandfather was a noble, a French noble, but he had had a son, Alexandre's father, by an African slave girl. Therefore, he was of noble birth, he was a noble family, but they weren't particularly well off, they were fairly impoverished. However, because of the nobility of his blood, he is able to find work in his 20s with Louis-Philippe, Duc d'Orléans. And he begins writing in this period as well. He initially starts off with plays before moving on to novels. And he gains a lot of success in his lifetime. He's not one of those writers who whose works aren't discovered till later. He was very well loved as he wrote. In 1830, he assisted in the revolution that deposed Charles X and put Louis-Philippe on the throne as the supposed citizen king. And 10 years later, in 1840, he marries an actress called Ida Ferrier. And I mean, he carries on living with her, but he had a lot of mistresses. The records suggest around 40. He did love, and he had 4 proven illegitimate children on some of those mistresses, and there are 3 others that are probably his as well. One of the initial 4 is actually Alexandre Dumas' fils, his son, who also became a writer. He acknowledged him as his son and helped him in his career. Despite his literary success, he actually remained poor for most of his life because he had a rather lavish lifestyle. I mean, if you've got to support 40 mistresses, you don't have much money left to spend on yourself, and if you like an odd bottle or 2 as well. He does build a country estate in 1846, which he calls the Chateau de Monte Cristo. However, 2 years later, he's in such financial straits that he has to sell the place. In 1851, Louis Napoleon Bonaparte takes control of the country in a coup, and Dumas is not a favourite of the new ruler, so he flees. Initially he goes to Belgium, he then spends several years in Russia before travelling to Italy, and he's actually in Italy at the time of the Italian unification, and he takes part in that process. Finally, he returns to France in 1864, and he dies there in 1870. In 2002, his ashes were reinterred in the Pantheon, and he was granted a kind of recognition of all his achievements on that bicentenary of his birth. So, it was quite an exciting life, as you see. He travelled around, had a few adventures, loved the women, loved the wine. What did he write? He actually wrote really diversely and prolifically. He wrote plays, he wrote a great number of travel books, particularly from his time going around in Russia. And of course, he's best known for his historical high-action stories. He wrote so many, we couldn't possibly list them all, so I'm just going to talk about 4 key works. So, The Fencing Master of 1840, The Count of Monte Cristo, 1844 to 46, published serially initially, The Three Musketeers in 1844, and La Reine Margot, Queen Margot, in 1845. Where do you start with Alexandre Dumas? I mean, I'm going to be completely upfront here and say I've barely scratched the surface of him still. There are a ton of books of his that are on my wish list that I still want to read. If I were you though, I would begin with The Three Musketeers. It's a story that's so familiar, it'll feel like a natural fit for you straight away. And from there I'd move on to The Count of Monte Cristo. Then if you're feeling keen, you might want to check out La Reine Margot. I love La Reine Margot. However, you'll probably want to start with those swashbuckling D'Artagnan and Monte Cristo ones if you're new to his work. Adaptations, I mean, there have been so many, I can't even begin to describe them all. There have been films and plays and musicals. Where do we start? If you're looking for TV adaptations, I think The Count of Monte Cristo, that was done for French TV, starring Gérard Depardieu, is awesome. I think it's a really faithful, good adaptation. It's available with subtitles, so there's no problem there. There have been numerous Three Musketeers, and it kind of depends what you're looking for. I'm rather fond of that slightly steampunky version that came out a few years back with Milo Djokovic as Milady de Winter, Mads Mikkelsen as Rochefort. That's good fun. It does deviate from the book a bit, but it's amusing. But there have been so many. There's the TV series, there are films. Really, just have a look around and check out the ones that appeal to you. The French film version of La Reine Margot is definitely worth seeing, though, if you get the opportunity to view that. And it has been widely broadcast in other countries, so you'll find it with subtitles without any problem. So that was a bit of the exciting life and times of Alexandre Dumas. I will end there, but I'll be back again very soon with another blog for you. Bye for now, everyone.